until now, yeah, we talked about all the things companies do as part of HRM. Yeah, we talked about employer branding, we talked about selection, we talked about compensation benefit, change management, retention, employee survey, all this stuff. All the circles in this picture represent the things you do in human resource management. So, and now at this point we have finished this part. Yeah? And in the remaining part of our lecture, I would like to talk about more infrastructural things. Yeah? Who is doing all this? Yeah? We talk about the HR organization. How can we use IT to support all this? Information technology. How can we use social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, for all these things? And how can we measure the success of all these things as part of HR controlling? So that's a different level. This is more about, let's say, the infrastructure. And today I would like to talk about HR organization. I mean, some of you might have the rather naive idea that, okay, I mean, there is a personnel department. Yeah. Okay. There's a company, and there is the plant, the factory, and there is the Verwaltungsgebäude, where all the administrative stuff takes place. And here on the second floor, in 3 rooms, there is the HR department. That's the HR organization, full stop. Yeah. Yes, for some small companies, that's still true. You have probably some nice ladies in the HR department doing all this selection stuff, compensation, benefit, payroll, blah, blah, blah. But for bigger companies, that does not apply. When you think about companies like BMW, Shell, Microsoft, Google, SAP, PricewaterhouseCoopers, it looks totally different. I mean, that topic is also relevant, especially for those of you who have the idea to work in HR. I mean, HR is it's an exciting field. I really can recommend to work there. But it really depends on where you will work. So I will show you how HR departments are organized, what are the different roles, what do they do, and then you will see that there are totally different places inside an HR organization where you do totally different things. Yeah. Okay. So some leading questions here are: first of all, what are central, what are local responsibility in international HR organizations? Yeah. Primarily, when you talk about these companies which I just have mentioned, they are all global players. And how does an HR organization look like in those kind of companies? And we talk about how responsibilities in the HR department change. I mean, really, we have these old days, where maybe a naive understanding comes from, and we have the future. HR now and in the future is totally different with regards to its responsibilities compared to HR 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago. Yeah? I will show you how things change and where things go to. And then we eventually will talk about the roles and the areas inside a modern HR organization. Okay, so at the end of this chapter, you really have an understanding how HR works from an organizational standpoint. And I'd like to start with some international aspects, okay? So how does it look like? Very simple. All companies, all the companies have a headquarter somewhere. Where is the headquarter of Adidas? Herzogenaurach. Where the hell is Herzogenaurach? Huh? Somewhere in Bavaria? In Franken. Yeah? Why is it there? Huh? Why is it there?
Because the guy who founded it, he was from Herzogenaurach.
Yes, Mr. Dassler.
Adi.
Adi Dassler. He lived there and he started producing shoes together with his brother Rudolf Dassler. These brothers got into conflict because why? Because of a woman. Okay, so they got their separate ways, and Rudolf Dassler started running his own business, Puma. Both came from Herzogenaurach. That's the reason why they are in Herzogenaurach. Yeah. Why is SAP in Walldorf? I mean Walldorf. Sorry. I mean, they came from this region, the founders, and they wanted to build their facilities in Mannheim, where they came from. But the city of Mannheim, they said, oh no, we don't need this company here. It was a big mistake. So they said, okay, let's find another place. Okay, let's go to Walldorf. There are historical reasons why companies are headquartered where they are headquartered. Yeah. So the headquarters growing, and then they start building subsidiaries in different regions. Yeah. So in global companies, you typically have the headquarter. They take care for all the global things, and then you have some regions, and you will hear terms like EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa. For some corporations, Africa belongs to Europe. It's this, okay? And then you have another region, the Americas, it's this VP. And then you have some companies named Asia Pacific, where Australia also belongs to typically. So companies are divided into large regions in the world. And within the regions, you have subsidiaries, Niederlassungen. Yeah? And the head of these subsidiaries, they typically report to the head in the regional headquarter, and he or she reports to somebody in the headquarter. This is how large-scale corporations look like. Very simple. I mean, you knew this. The point is, we have HR people in the headquarter. We have HR people in the subsidiary. We have HR people, recruiters, trainers, developer, all this kind of stuff which you typically find in HR organizations. You have these in the regional headquarter. Yeah. So HR is everywhere. Now the question is, I mean, who does what? If you do an internship in HR, it's a total difference whether you work in HR, let's say in Suzhou, somewhere near Shanghai, or in Barcelona, or whether you work at Bosch in the headquarters, which is where? Sorry? Stuttgart? Schwieberding. Okay. Schillerhöhe, it's its name, yeah? Schwieberding? Near Stuttgart, okay. You drive through the wood, and there is nothing. Wood, and suddenly there is a hospital. No, it's not a hospital, it's the headquarters. There are HR people. If you do an internship in HR on the Schillerhöhe, in the headquarters, you will do totally different things than if you do your HR internship in Barcelona. Let's talk about this. The first thing I want you to understand is how this kind of internalization, internationalization, globalization takes place? What are the different phases? I mean, you know this term, international, multinational, international, and for some of you this might be all the same, more or less. Global company, international company, multinational, it's all the same. No, it's not. It's not. There's a great book which I really can recommend, written by Bartlett and Goshal, Managing Across Borders. It's a Bible about international management. And they show that there are different types of how companies can operate on an international level. Let's have a more historical view. Let's take a company like, you know, SICK? S-E-C-K? Yeah. The people out of this region, they know this company. It's a very successful company in Waldkirch. Waldkirch is near Freiburg. Why is SICK there? Because the founder, Mr. SICK, grew up there. I don't know whether he grew up there, but he lived there. They produce products in the automation technology. Whenever it comes to sensorical technique, optic techniques in the automation process, then they come into play. Very innovative. So, companies like this, they start their business where the founder lives, in the garage. They start doing things, small company, and then the company grows. At this phase, the company is purely national, regional. Yeah? But the more the company grows, the more it succeeds, the higher is the probability that sooner or later one customer is from abroad. Switzerland, Austria. Yeah? Once you have one single tiny customer in Switzerland as a German company, are you international then? Yes, of course. You're international. You do business across borders. That's international. Yes, and the first thing is that you have expatriates, for instance. You assign people from the home country to the foreign, it's still the foreign country, yeah, who transfer knowledge there, who do sales there. Yeah. So once you have maybe subsidiaries also abroad in the so-called foreign country, yeah, you are really international, but you are very headquarter-minded. That's always the case. As a company like SICK, they are Waldkirch focused. You know, I think Waldkirch is the center of the world, and from here we operate into the foreign countries. Okay, international. That's the very first step. Then what happens next? The company is growing and growing, and they have subsidiaries not only in Switzerland, in Austria, but now they have a subsidiary in Czech Republic. They have a subsidiary in China, in Brazil. Yeah, and things are growing. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether in the subsidiaries there only sales takes place or production or whatever. You start building organizations in the still so-called foreign country. And the bigger the subsidiary is growing, the bigger it gets, the more HR people you will find there. Yeah? If you have 100 people in a subsidiary, you probably have 1 or 2 people to take care about HR stuff. Yeah? Once you have 500 people, you might have 5, 6, 7 people. You suddenly have an HR director there. Yeah? The typical thing which is happening is that these HR organizations in Brazil, in China, they work very autonomously. They do their own things, their own way of recruiting. They probably have their own payroll. They have their own training development. They have their own performance management. This is something which you always find in most companies, that they start that way. Still, the term foreign country, Ausland, exists in the mind of the people. There's the headquarter, the center of the world, and then we have the subsidiaries out there. Yeah. If you do meetings, global meetings, the managers come to the headquarter. Yeah, because that's the center of the world, and they speak German. Yeah, try to speak German. Still very home country minded. Okay? What happens then is that sooner or later the company will realize that we must change something. Yeah? It can't be that the way how we compensate our managers is different from country to country. It can't be that every company is creating their own styles with regards to the job ads. Yeah? Have you ever seen a job ad of Audi in China in earlier days? It's, in my eyes, it's ugly, yeah, but they love it. It's not Audi, it's not this crazy style, it's very colored, fancy. And for a company like Audi, it's not acceptable that in every country they do their own things, yeah. So they try to consolidate things. How can you, question to you, how can you tell whether recruiting in a company, Microsoft, BMW, SAP, how can you tell by a look on the website whether the company is running a multinational recruiting organization or a global recruiting organization? How can you tell it by the website? Simple.
Maybe in which languages the website is designed.
Right. Yeah, it's a German company, it's all in German. Yeah. While there are some local pages which are then in French. Yeah. Okay. Spanish, English. Yeah. There is more than this.
You have different website layouts for different countries.
Different website layouts, absolutely. Yeah. What happens if you want to find a job as a controller? Let's take this example. And you don't care about where you will work. You are flexible. How will the job search look like in a global organization versus in a multinational organization?
With the global, you have one search window for all the countries. There you can just say all countries and controller and whatever. And for a multinational, you have to visit like 25 pages,
right.
25 national divisions.
That's right. So in a global organization, you have one single website with one single database. You type in controller, the field where you have to type in country, you just leave it empty and you get all the jobs, all the controller jobs worldwide by one single click. That's possible because there is one database behind it. Yeah? If it's a multinational organization, the first decision which you have to make is, okay, do you want to work in Asia? Do you want to work in UK? Do you want to work in Spain? Do you want to work in the States? And from there, you have to start your search. And it looks different. Okay? So that's a very simple indication of whether the recruiting organization is multinational or global. Global means the entire world is seen as one market. In the minds of the people, in the minds of the employees, the term foreign country doesn't exist anymore. At SAP, we never used the term Ausland. I mean, what's Ausland? Ausland depends on where you are. Yeah? There is no foreign country, there is no Ausland in a global organization. And global not only means doing things the same all across the world, it's also something that relates to the mindset of the people. Do we think really in global terms? Right? So, multinational means you have a local differentiation. That's an important term here. Local differentiation means every country does what is best for the country. Yeah? In Brazil, you think, okay, we in Brazil, we know the market better than the people in the headquarters at Schillerhöhe. So we do the things in a way how we like to do it. We are closer to the people. We are closer to the labor market. We better know the local culture. So everything we do fits to the local condition to the best possible degree. When you act like this in every country, then you really achieve something which we name local differentiation. Things are different from country to country because they must be different because the countries are different. Yeah? From a global perspective, you think differently. You think, okay, we are one country, we are one company. We act in one global market. We want to achieve what we name global integration. We want to achieve synergies. Yeah? We also want to present ourselves as one single company. Yeah? We are not so fragmented. We are one single company. So here is the conflict between local differentiation, which makes sense, yeah, and global integration. So, question. Employer branding. Positioning and presenting a company as a strong employer. Employer branding. Is that something that a company should do on a global basis or on a local basis, please?
Well, I think you can position yourself as a strong employer globally, but it will mean something different for every country.
So that's how many companies actually say employer branding. The way how we appear in the market, on the job ads, on the career website, must have one message, one look and feel, yeah, globally. We don't want that the ads in Shanghai look totally different than the ads in Italy. We want to have one appearance, one look and feel, while the countries have their local flexibility, maybe using different pictures, different texts maybe to a certain extent. Yeah. So employer branding typically is something that you do globally. Many companies nowadays learn this and follow this approach. How is it about candidate selection for production? A production worker. Should the employee for production be selected by the headquarters or by HR, which operates in this particular plant? So production worker for Bosch in Barcelona. Barcelona. Should it be selected by HR staff in Barcelona or somebody in Bavaria, in Schillerhöhe? Local. Executive compensation. The way you compensate define the salary of top executives. Should this be done locally or by the headquarter? Headquarter. So you already see that some things can be done globally, some other things can be locally. And this leads to an approach which is named the transnational approach. It's not whether you do everything global or everything local. It's the question of what should we do globally, what should we do locally. Okay, where does the need for local differentiation, where is the need for local differentiation high? Where is the need for global integration high? And then you find very different things that you can do as part of HR. Training the people. That's very often something which can be done very locally because you have to train the people different from country to country. That, by the way, does not apply for training executive. That is something you would do globally. Yeah? Employer branding, you have a high need for global integration. Career website is somewhere in between. So you sort all the activities in HR according to the need for local differentiation or for global integration. So in this picture, local differentiation, global integration is not seen as contradiction. It's seen as something, okay, how can we combine these different things? So transnational organization means to find a smart way to allocate different tasks in HR to the local organization or to the global organization. Do you know anybody, friend, peers, relatives who work in HR? Have you ever worked in HR, maybe? If you think of somebody working in HR, what do you think they do the entire day? We could do this exercise. Take a piece of paper and write down 5 things people in HR typically do. What is on your paper? You probably will find some things which are kind of administrative. It relates to administration. Preparing a work contract. Writing a job ad and post it on Monster. Pre-select incoming applications. Organizing an interview. These are all administrative things. Do HR people do this? Yes, of course. It's daily work. Yeah? Much paper stuff. Or using a system. Some of you might say, no, I mean, it's not only administration. I mean, there are people who knock at your door at HR. Say, well, Mr. HR, I need to improve my competencies in using Microsoft Office. Do you offer any courses on this? Yeah? Is there any training? Do you have any recommendation? Somebody's knocking at your door saying, hey, I'm now 7 years with this company. I'm a middle manager. Do I get a company car? Yes. Is it an A4, A5, A6, A8? Yes. This is, or a manager knocks at your door saying, I have an employee. He's a drunk. What to do? He comes late every morning, drunken. What to do? This is not administration. This is support. You help people. Right? Mainly individuals, managers, employees on certain areas. Some of you might say, no, it's not only administration, it's not only support. I have a friend who is about building an employer brand. Yeah? He's running a big project. I know somebody in HR, she is managing a global employee survey. And that's huge. I know somebody who is building an executive development program. This is not administration. This is not support. This is consulting. Yeah, this is complex work, high value, complicated, yeah, sometimes huge, difficult. Maybe you have a father or mother or uncle or so who is an HR director. And learn from him or her that, no, he's not doing projects, he's not supporting people, he's not doing the administrative stuff. He's sitting at the table of the executive board and he's thinking about the future strategy of the company. And he always looks at the current possible strategies of the company from an HR perspective. Should we really change the strategy and entering the Asian market while we see that labor markets are rather difficult and our people lack the competencies doing so? So this is strategy. Okay? So whenever you think of different activities HR typically does, you can always put these activities in one of these four boxes. Either administration, support, consulting, strategy. Now, the point is when you look at very traditional HR, if you look at, let's say, a conservative HR, mid-sized company in the middle of Black Forest, you will find that the people in HR primarily do administrative stuff. Hire somebody. Fire this man. But don't let him bleed too long. Don't make too much noise. Can you do this? We have to change the company car policy, which is always very hot subject. Administration, pure administration. Be careful. If you work in HR, in a mid-sized small company, you probably will do a lot of admin. It's not the case for all companies. I know companies which are very modern, very straight ahead, but typically you find much administration, some support, a little bit consulting, and then a tiny piece of strategy. And in the last few years, or I can say decades, many HR people, HR directors, HR executives said, no, we have to change this. We have to change our role, our responsibilities in a way that, yes, we do some administration, but that's the minor part. Yeah, we only take care for the difficult stuff. We do a lot of support to the people. We do a lot of consulting work and much more strategy. Okay, so you have found this slide in almost every presentation 10 years ago. Yeah, when companies started to think about how should we change our role, we must readjust our responsibilities from being a primarily administrative organization to organization which does more high-value work. Yeah? That was really the vision. And today, you find a lot of companies which went some steps further and really have changed their responsibilities. Yeah? We are in the middle of it. Related to this, I would like to show you an approach which I really like. It's from my old boss, my former boss, Yeah? My former boss, Leslie Hayman, he was the HR executive at SAP for a while. And he always proposed that there are the 4 Ps of HR. Don't mix it up with the 4 Ps in marketing, which aren't valid anymore, anyhow. The 4 Ps, that's something different. Les always says that there are 4 different levels of HR. And that really makes sense. I mean, he says, if you look at companies, you probably will find that the HR department is the department where you will find the politest, nicest people in the company. They are nice. Okay? Taking care of all your stuff. Yeah. We need a change in the working contract. Yes, I will do this. Thank you. Yes, I will fire this man. Nice people. There are people saying, I love to work in HR because I love to work with people. Yeah. That's crabby. You don't work in HR because you love to work with people. You will work with people in any other department in the same way. Yeah. Then you find a lot of companies where HR took over the role of, let's say, a policeman, taking care that all the regulations, the policies, the processes are really applied in the right way. Yeah, Mr. Manager, have you done your performance appraisal with your team? Yeah? No? You must do this. Send me the form. Latest by end of April. Oh, you have hired people? Didn't you use our recruiting standards, which we have developed in HR? Yeah? Didn't we told you, Mr. Manager, that we in HR, we have defined the way how we do things in that way, and we did it differently? Head manager. Police. Ensuring that things are done in the right, in brackets, in the way how HR defined it way. From there, you find some companies saying, more and more companies saying, no, we don't want to be the polite people, we don't want to be the policeman inside the company, we want to be partner to the business. What does that mean, partner? Partnering means that you interact on the same eye level. Yeah. Okay. And there is a manager in a division, let's say, and there is the partner. Today we name it, and we talk about the HR business partner. That's a role. And time to time you sit together thinking about the future challenges of that particular division. And as HR business partner, you always think about, okay, what does that mean for HR? Okay? So, and we define certain activities, measures, which at the end, and that's the important thing, which at the end support the business. HR as a partner is there to support the business. Okay? It's not administration, it's not about taking care that things are done in the right way. It's I support you with all HR related, people related challenges in order to achieve business success. Les always said, no, HR must be more than this. They must be a player. Yeah? And this is something which we hardly find. An HR executive who makes a decision about future product strategies. Have you seen this? Can you imagine this? an HR executive who is heavily involved, just like the CFO or anyone else, in all strategy-related decisions. An HR executive who thinks about the future, not of HR, but of the future of the company, the future of the business as such. In Germany, I know maybe 5 HR directors which act on this level. Yeah, most of them are somewhere here. Yeah, some more move into a partner. Okay, I like this. That shows a little bit this entire spectrum of possibilities. I can also recommend Les Heyman's blog. You can read more about this. Now, what does that mean? One of the first thinkers in that field was a man. His name is Dave Ulrich. You should have heard this name. It's like, I mean, there is no lecture about strategy without thinking about Michael Porter. Yeah. So the Michael Porter of HR is probably Dave Ulrich. He's fantastic, really. I met him a couple of times. He's the god of HR. Very lovely person. Very funny. Very truly inspiring. Yeah. Spending a workshop with him a day, afterwards it changed 20 of my slides in my lecture. It's fantastic. What made him so well known was a book he has written in the late 90s, Human Resource Champions. If you work in HR, you must read this book. Yeah. And he defined a role model, the Dave Ulrich HR role model. And what does he say? He says, in HR, as HR department, we must be strong in both, in strategic things and in administrative things. It's not that we need to move from administration to more strategic things. It's the question of how do we do both things right. If payroll, which is typically a very operational thing, if payroll does not work well, if people don't get the correct salary, you will never be in a position to talk about strategy. You first, as HR, have to do your administrative homework, so to speak. You have to be strong in this. You have to be a professional in this. And you must be strong in strategy. I mean, think about all this accounting, finance stuff. It's the same. You have to think in strategic terms, then it's more controlling. If you think in more, what do we do with this invoice, it's probably more accounting, at least from my naive understanding. You know it better. Right? Just a dumb psychologist. Okay. So, he says, coming from there are 4 different roles. As I said, strategic partner. Yeah, you act with the executive board. You think about the future of the business. You look at business challenges from an HR perspective. Say, okay, we need people for supporting this strategy. We have a talent shortage, so we have to invest in employer brand. We have to position ourselves better. Let's do this. Let's focus our resources on positioning the company as a strong employer. Okay, the future of our company will be this and this in 5-10 years, so we have to grow some executives. So we have to enhance our executive development program in specific ways. We have to make sure that certain capabilities, certain competencies are there with our managers so that we succeed with a given strategy. That's strategic thinking in HR. We have to focus on certain key roles, key functions. Yeah? Then companies always go through changes, as we have spoken, as I've shown you. And as HR must act as a change agent. Here in a different sense than I've shown you earlier. Change agent here means that HR is heavily involved in shaping new organizations, helping companies to succeed in any kind of change. That's about change management. Then, of course, administrative expert. You have